Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Now offering video visits, so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. Ortho Carolina, you improve.
Hey, fellows. It's the first night of another season.
Nerd roll.
Oh, my glasses are broken.
This will begin season 2 of Nerd Skool.
Welcome back to season 2, Nerd High. Glad to have you.
It's gonna be crazy stunts. We're gonna there's gonna be stunts.
Joe's
and
gonna
fireworks.
bring more penis jokes.
There's a lot of penis stuff.
I am a super nerd.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Starring Andy,
Star Spangled Man with a plan.
Maybe I'll try to do a cartwheel.
TBJ.
Welcome. Congratulations. You did dirt. Ta-da. I got no shame. All my exes can tune in. We can have an episode where I compare them to all the Marvel villains. We can do that.
Artstar.
I don't love Wiener.
I'm just trying to make money.
Lord Artemys Prime.
No.
Yeah, my real name is Joe.
Did I ever tell you about the time I hung out with DMC at Mertz?
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
I only had one bid.
Sorry.
I only had one bid then, and that shit put me on my ass. So I gotta ease back into drinking.
Okay,
I don't drink as much as you did.
Okay, so if you
So
don't
when
drink, then you got pernicious.
That is it. People always think that I don't drink, but I got to the point where it's like, when I moved down here, you know, it was just me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I would buy beer and I'd have it in the fridge. And let's say I go out, and even when I was back home, you know, I would sit there, I would buy beer and I'd have it in the refrigerator. I'd come home from work, you know, you open it, like grab a water or something. No, I was coming home grabbing beer. So I'm not gonna buy beer because every time I come home, open the fridge, the first thing I do is grab a beer. Like, I'm not Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Right? So when I moved down here, it's like I would have liquor sometimes, but then like I wasn't working yet. So it's like I'd be sitting there and I'd be drinking. And then the way my mind works is like, if I'm sitting by myself, all I'm doing is drinking.
Yeah.
I ain't got a job yet. What's going to happen? I'm going to just sit there and become a fucking drunk.
Yeah.
And like, I know how to, like, I can drink and get drunk, and then the next day I'd be okay. You know, it's not like, I got drunk last night, I got to get drunk again. But the way my mind thinks is like, hey, if I keep doing this, so like, I ain't got shit to do. I'm going to just drink and smoke. Drink and smoke.
Yeah.
Before you know it, I'm a pothead drunk.
Yeah, I mean, there is that fine line. Like, you can
see like that little sip right there. I wasn't knowing what I was going to expect. I always forget the pale ale, you know, any pale ales, IPAs. Like this dude I used to work with.
Yeah.
He put, like, we used to get, Flying Dog. You ever had Flying Dog?
Dogfish Head? No,
it's not Dogfish. It's
Flying Dog sounds familiar. Is that a Baltimore beer?
I don't know if it's just Baltimore. That's the thing. Because for a long time, I used to think that Natty Boh was just a Baltimore thing. You know? Flying Dog Brewery. Yeah, they're local.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. They got those at Harris Teeter. Yeah.
Yeah, so he put me on to, like, whenever we would go somewhere, I'd always like, let me get any type of fly. Like, you got Flying Dog? Like, I don't care what it is. Just give me any type of Flying Dog. I just sit there and drink Flying Dogs all the time.
Now, Pernicious, what you got there is by Wicked Weed.
Right.
And they are, oh, man, I'm trying to remember. I think they were in Asheville, but I don't know if I'm going to say recently, but it's probably not recently anymore. But recently, in the past 6 or 7 years, they got bought out by, I think, either Anheuser-Busch or Miller, one of them. And so now they're like, it's like a commercial. It's not it's still craft. It's a craft beer. It's an IPA.
Right.
But it's commercial now because it's bought out by them. But from what I understand, it tastes the same. Nobody's complaining about the taste, but everybody's worried. Like, oh no, they got bought by the big guys. It's going to change.
And see, now, even when I do drink, like if I do get beer, like I don't buy any of like I drink I drink Corona. I like Yuling, like Bud Miller, shit like that.
Yeah.
But if I'm somewhere random, like Trader Joe's, and I see something weird, like I think I've tried like a chocolate beer.
Yeah.
Like that's just weird to me. And I remember when we went to the baseball game, you had me trying whatever that shit was, and supposed to taste like the pineapple.
Yeah, nerdy night. We were trying all the Divine Barrels, different stuff.
Yeah, I can. But see, I've learned to kind of taste that stuff.
Okay.
Like I used to get this. I don't know what it was. It was some 4-pack I got from Artstar one time. It was like a pineapple thing or whatever. Yeah. And I drank one, and then when I got to the second one, I could taste the hint of pineapple in it. But before it was just like, oh, this shit says it's pineapple infused, or it's this kind of infused, and I'm drinking. Oh, it just tastes like a fucking Heineken to me.
So we got the F-bombs flowing early on this special episode of Nerd Skool. This is a deep dive with Artstar. This is happy hour with Artstar. We're gonna do these. It's difficult to get us all four together. I'm the first. This
number one.
Yeah, this is the first one. So we decided, since it's hard to get us all together, we're going to do these offshoot episodes while we're trying to schedule all of us doing the movie. So just to get to know each person on Nerd Skool a little bit better, what better way than to have a couple drinks with Artstar? So this is the happy hour with Artstar, and we're going to just
happy hour Artstar. Oh yeah,
Artstar's happy hour. So Artstar's got a beer. I'm drinking a
multiple
tequila sunrise is what this is. I think it's kind of what it is. It's really just orange juice and tequila. Because that's all I had in the house.
Oh, so you mixed it? Did you mix it?
Yeah, so I just poured them in the cup.
How much tequila? What's your tequila to orange juice ratio?
Okay. It's more like I grab the tequila, I go, ch. I grab the orange juice, I go, ch. I fill the rest, and then I mix it. So no science involved. In fact, I need to pour another one.
None of that, like put some orange juice in, drink most of it, and like have like the orange residue in the glass.
Well, I'll be honest.
Follow up with the tequila.
I'll be honest, my first glass, this is my second glass, because my first glass, I spilled about half of it trying to make an Instagram story to prep. I put an Instagram story to like promote this event. I was like, oh yeah, getting ready to drink with Artstar. And when I was trying to post it, I looked up and my drink was in my lap and it was spilled all over the couch. So in my garage couch in my podcast studio. So I had to flip over the cushions because they're all wet with tequila. Right. And I had to pour a new drink.
It should have been like a tequila soaked episode. we could have like tequila soaked episodes.
Tequila soaked dreams with Artstar.
Right. Joe gets.
So there's a little bit of ice left. It's just a little chip of ice. So I'll show you how I make it. Here I go. I got it. Here's the orange juice. I put that in second. I'm set that aside. So I only got a little bit of tequila left. There's not much you can see in here. This is Jose Cuervo Especial. Cuervo. Yeah. So I'm not a big tequila guy, but I had this left over from, I bought margarita mix over the pandemic and was having margaritas, but I'm out of the mix. I'm out of the triple sec, just a little bit of tequila. So I just go like this. I just think about like, I don't know, 2 shots or something.
Two fingers.
Two fingers, is that what it is?
Two fingers of tequila in there.
Is that too much? I don't know. I don't know if this is even a drink. And then I just grabbed some orange juice because I don't really have anything else to mix it with. I was gonna mix it with I have a vegetable smoothie in the fridge for tomorrow.
The first time I went to New York, I was on what was called a school trip. It was like I was in community college, and I used to do this thing like every semester. So where they go to New York to like visit museums and shit like that.
Yeah.
And
stirring my drink.
So we'd go so during the day we'd visit museums, and then at night we basically would just bar hopping in New York.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do?
He was in this one place, and it was like up until that time, like most of the time I went out and drank. It was like, well, me and my buddy we went to strip club or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Or we just be sitting in this house playing video games, drinking beers. Or we had like some drink.
What kind of guy is Artstar at the strip club? Are you the guy that just kind of sits in the corner? Are you the crazy guy?
No. When I used to go to, I remember in a strip club in so fucking long. But when I used to go, like I'm sitting there, I'm coming, you come in, oh, it's a spot at the bar. I'm sitting right there, you know, and I'm not a heavy tipper, but it's like it's like one of those type where it's like, you know how you go to like a you know the sushi places where they have the little thing where it spins around and you pull your thing off and you sit there, you waiting for the one you like and shit.
Yeah.
That's me. Like I'm sitting there, I'm watching all the girls, and then I may find one like, oh, she was hot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm waiting till she get finished her thing, and I'm like, I'm tipping her. You know what I'm saying? She the one to get. I'm not tipping everybody. Like one time we got there, we literally had just walked in, and it was just one of these specials where you pay like $5 and you get the drink like beers is like a quarter.
Okay.
Mixed drinks are like $1 something, but you got to have like the wristband. So we walk in and we sit at the bar, and this chick, she's like doing I guess I want to call it the crawl of shame after the dance. So she's on the bar walking around getting tips from everybody. Yeah. We sit down. She comes stop in front of us like expecting a tip. I'm like, we just got here. We ain't see you do nothing. But yeah, so I would just drink like, you know, beers and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this first time in New York, during the day we went to like I think the Guggenheim or something. So at night we was at this bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I'm gonna be big shit, right? So like, let me get a beer and a shot of whiskey.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm sitting there drinking beer, chasing it with shots of whiskey.
Oh.
But then it's like, then we went to this other bar, and like the professor at the time, he had this drink. He had gin. He was just drinking something. Like, oh, that looks good. Like, what is it? He was like gin and tonic. So yeah, let me get a gin. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give me a gin and tonic. He went and got me a gin and tonic. Gin and tonic became my drink. But then I also like, well, I wanted to try like a screwdriver. So I tried that for the first time when I was in New York. I was like, yeah, whatever. But like I've always been not necessarily a drink mixer.
Yeah.
You know, like another friend of mine, my friend, this dude like a brother to me, like growing up, but we used to like sit on my steps and we'd be like just sitting there just drinking. But like he turned me on Parmesan and pineapple juice.
Okay.
So, but the way we would do it is we'd sit there, we'd have like a glass and we'd be drinking and then we'd chase it with the pineapple juice.
Okay.
Or like, let's say we was hanging outdoors, something what we do is we'd have like a beer and we chase it with water.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, it doesn't get us drunk as fast, but we get to drink as much beer as we want before we really, really, really start to feel it. This is when I was in my 20s. And then when I hit 30, I was like, yeah, I would still drink. But like even now, like, you know, I can drink, but because I haven't drank like that in a long time, you know, one beer fucked me up sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's it. If you don't do it, if you don't do it very often,
like,
your tolerance goes down.
But it was funny, like Monday when I showed up, and like I think you were mentioning like the beers and shit. Yeah. Andy sitting by the fridge. Andy was like, "Gonna get a beer?" And then that's what I told Andy. I like TBJ says I can't drink because the last time I was drinking, you know,
because the last time you got hammered,
right? And then I still judged effectively. I just had to be told multiple times what the fuck would we try to judge.
And you didn't say much. I felt like you were quiet. You're like, well, I was drunk.
I was because I think I drank it too fast, and I remember just sitting there telling Tiff and Andy, I'm like, I'm gone. I'm done. Like I'm literally done.
This was a nerdy night in Heroes debate. You can find it on Vimeo, where Artstar, TBJ, and Andy were judges for a superhero debate. And that was back in, gosh, I don't know, was it April or something, or May, or
was it April?
I have no idea.
Maybe May.
But it's online somewhere. We should probably put a link to it somewhere out on Instagram or whatever. But yeah, so cool. And so that's good. We're into the drinking talk and we're into the partying. So what's the name of this? So what's the name of this buddy of yours? It's like a brother that you guys are drinking.
Tyron.
What is it?
Tyron.
Yes. Artstar and Tyron.
Right.
Does he have a fun nickname? Like Artstar and Tyron?
Well, see, and that's just it. Artstar, like I didn't become Artstar until when did I become Artstar? I became Artstar after college, I believe. And I remember just sitting there. No matter of fact, it started in college.
Okay.
It was like, all right. This is my shit. So I was going to sit there. I'm so used to being like, can I say something? Or let me say something? Or let me segue? Because I'm so used to like Andy on the right of me saying something.
No,
and then
this is just all you,
something.
man.
Right. So it's like, it seems weird. It's almost like I'm in a dream state. And it's like, I see you there because, and then you're almost more like, you're not necessarily the moderator, but you're like here. And
no, this is just asking you. This is just listening to Artstar's life.
Like, Andy to like low key shade me, and then like Jay give me the like, look or whatever. But
you'll get plenty of that at the end, like when they listen to it. You're gonna get shit from just right away with the strip club stuff. TBJ's not gonna like that.
Right.
The crawl of shame. TBJ's not gonna be happy about that.
He's gonna call me problematic.
Artstar is problematic. So okay, where'd you get the name? In college?
Oh yeah, so basically, I've always been, I always felt myself different. So it's like, and I had this class in college. It was called Art, Work, Word, Play, and it was a writing class. But I went to a private art school. So while it was a writing class, it also kind of leaned a little bit into the creative writing space.
Okay.
So we had to do this assignment where we was doing all these different types of writing and prose or whatever. So what I did was I made like a little small kind of book, but then each thing I did, like let's say, we did this thing called shape poems. Like a shape poem is like, let's say for instance, like with a beer can, and if I'm writing this poem about a beer, I'd make the poem, I'd take the words and I'd write them so they form the shape of a beer.
Okay, so it's like an art piece, but also
right,
writing,
but it's still just writing, yeah. But then, so each different thing I did, I signed it a different name. So you had like Artstar, Art Love, Arthur. I signed it in my or I wrote it in my Japanese name, my Japanese name. So it's like,
were any of them Artemys Prime?
No, Artemys Prime is in 2021.
That's a 2021 brand new name just for Nerd Skool.
Oh yeah. So,
okay, so you gave yourself that pen name, the Artstar. Right, it was just to get different names.
I still didn't use it a lot, but then also I worked at an art store, and so one thing about like people who work at art stores, we belong to this unspoken society of wingnuts, right? So all of us were just like kind of wingnutty.
Did you say wingnut?
Wingnuts.
Wingnutty?
Yes. Wingnutty. But
so so it's crazy that you are, people probably don't get it, but they don't know that your name is Art and you're an art school student that attended art school, and you're an artist. You're an artist. Right. And you're Artstar. So
right. So yeah, so I just used to always, a lot of times, how you try to come up with like some sort of weird logo or something you could, whatever.
Yeah.
And so like the way I went through a phase of like whenever I did stuff, like I wouldn't sign it, or if I did sign it, I would sign it in Japanese, or I do like this weird thing where I do like an art, and then I was trying to always figure out a way to make my initials into like some sort of crest or something. And one day I just decided to do a star. And I was like, cool. If I put art over top of star, I can say Artstar.
Artstar.
So then I just started calling myself Artstar. I say stuff like Artstar, but then my Artstar thing kind of tied into, my somewhat love of the squared circle. So,
yes, wrestling. Wait, so right. Artstar has to do with wrestling. That's a wrestling name?
Well, no. It's just like, like how The Rock was The Rock this, The Rock that. So yeah, my Artstar was basically the third person version of me.
Okay.
So like I wouldn't sit there and say Artstar does this, but for me, when you say Artstar, I feel like that's me being referred to in the third person.
Yeah,
it's not like sitting there saying one. It's just has two kind of meanings, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm sitting there saying I'm an art star.
Yes.
I'm also saying I'm Artstar.
You're the art star. Yeah, like Ringo
Right.
Starr, art star
Right.
is what I always
And then
thought.
I used to, so then like, you know, I got to the point where like that's what at work they would say Artstar. Or I would have like on my name tag, I might do something. Or I put on that Artstar. We would do like these little small doodles or whatever.
Yeah.
Artstar. So I had people at work calling me Artstar. So it kind of like it stuck where it was like, okay, I'm gonna use that as like another kind of nickname. But we go further back. I always had this thing where most people like I guess this is why in the very beginning of this thing when we doing our whole like who we are kind of thing, where you had like TBJ being the nerd that you like, oh, she's the kind of like unassuming kind of like, oh, this is this kind of nerd.
The surprise
like
nerd.
Kind of, right. And I'm like the quote unquote ninja nerd kind of thing. But it's also because a lot of people, and like I mean, even recently, I've had people come up to me. I had an incident. I won't say it's an incident, but a situation where someone at work, you know, whenever me and TBJ get around each other, and this is funny because I see again. I'm so used to them being here. It's almost like
You're waiting for somebody to interrupt you. I think
that too, but then it's also like it's one. I think this is kind of cool because you know people who know me know that I like. I'm over here, I'm over there, I'm over here, and I always got to sometimes like it's on like I am within myself. When it comes to like timelines or whatever, and ruptured timelines or whatever, that's me. Like I mean, I have like that variance of me here. So it's always like trying to get right back on the main timeline kind of thing. Anywho, it's like so. I was telling Anne like Monday how like, you know, I said, well, like think guy, one of the house managers.
Yeah.
Like me and TBJ, we were sitting there talking, yada, 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 yada. He was in the other room. He comes in, he's like, I'm sitting there listening to you guys talk, and you guys sound like an old married couple. Y'all know y'all stuff, y'all just arguing back and forth. And then I was telling Andy how like me and TBJ are like siblings, and Andy's like the big brother. Like that's why he has to sit between us. When we like, you know, we're just going back and forth kind of thing. So the incident was this person. So this is another time when me and TBJ we sitting there, we just talking about stuff, and it was like we wasn't going at it. We were just literally talking, like just shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
And like you know, she was looking at us. Then she, you know, whatever. Then she like comes over to me and she goes, you must know her. I was like, why you say that? Because you talking to her. I'm like, okay. She's like, I don't never see you talk. I was like, I talk. People just assume that I don't talk. One thing about Artstar, he can run his motherfucking mouth. But also, while he can run his motherfucking mouth, he don't like small talk. I don't like to me, some small talk is the epitome of bullshit.
Yeah.
So but then also it's like a catch-20. Like why I don't like small talk, and I feel like small talk is the epitome of bullshit. Sometimes I do indulge in small talk.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like a lot of just rant. Like I'm like one, I was an only boy, so I'm used to, you know, being in my own little bubble, doing things by myself.
Yeah. So
I had this moment where it's like, okay, I'll engage you in this small talk, but when I'm done, like I get bored quick.
Let me go back into my world.
I don't want to listen to this shit no more. So it's like it's always like trying to like. So I figured. So when I was growing up, I'd always be like, if I don't say shit, motherfuckers won't keep talking to me. So you be quiet. But what that used to do though is make people think like, oh, he quiet. Oh, he's shy. I'm like, I'm not fucking shy. Just don't do a lot of fucking small talk. Like, and the nerddom part of me with that was always like, the only reason you have to say something is that you have something prophetic to say, or something really important, or just you trying to make a point. Other than that, I'm not just going to randomly start talking. That's just the way I've always been.
Yeah.
And then people always took like, oh, he's shy. He's shy. Like, nah. Another one. Another instance. So
you grew up with sisters? You have sisters then?
I have three sisters.
Three sisters, and your moms and dad, your mom and dad, and you?
It was my three sisters and me and my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
So
I would guess just having three sisters, not to be sexist, but I would imagine it would be hard to. And you're the youngest, right?
No, I'm another one of my names. Another one of my names is based off. It's twofold as well because I'm a junior.
Oh,
but
junior.
Another one of my names is second of my name.
Okay.
Which I started using because of Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yes. First of his name. Yeah.
Like second of my name, but I'm also like 7 of 9 is one of my favorite Star Trek characters.
Okay.
You should look up. Fucking hot as fuck.
No, see, I know 7 of 9. Right. Again, to continue with the misogyny route, I only know 7 of 9 because my dad was a huge Star Trek fan. And he was in love with her. He was all hot. Oh, 7 of 9. Oh, she's hot.
What's her name?
7 of 9. She's cute.
She is. She's fucking hot. Her and fucking Natalie Portman. Anyway, but
played by who?
I know. I said her and Natalie Portman.
Oh, her and Natalie Portman. What she played by? She's played by somebody.
I want to say them Terry something.
Is it John Stamos' wife or something?
I don't know if it's John Stamos' wife.
Somebody who was in everything. Like she played Rogue, right? Isn't that the same person?
Rogue is Rebecca Romaine.
Not Rogue, Rebecca Romaine.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Her name is Jerry Ryan. I was gonna say Terry, but her name is Jerry Ryan. That place. Anyway.
Well, she was married to
I don't know
somebody, right?
You got me looking it up. I'm not.
Jerry Ryan.
You got me doing the Tiffany.
Sorry, we're doing it research.
We're doing it. I'm doing the Tiffany move. Let me just use the Googles. But
Jerry Ryan. What do I know her from?
She's been in
7 of 9. Oh, she was on Boston Public. That's what I know her from. We talked about that before. For some reason, I loved Boston Public. I don't know why. All right, sorry. Back to Artstar at a strip club.
Be like, I'm second or 4 kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then I revisited years later and became second of my name.
So you were always the quietest, though. Like at the dinner table, your sisters are all talking, and you're just kind of quiet.
I think we all talk. Like when it's around family, or close friends, I would always with them. It was different.
Yeah,
I can run like I've always been like keep your circle small.
Yeah.
So with them, run the fuck out of my mouth. You somebody else, it's like I don't know you, so I move differently. I have that. It was almost like
that's normal.
You only let them know what and then like let's say people assume shit, and I always go through like assume all the fuck you want. That's then you have like I like saying a lot of I like catchphrases a lot.
Yeah,
but it's like assume all you want. You know what they say about assumption? Assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. Under Siege, that movie. So,
what movie is that from?
Under Siege.
Oh, Under Siege.
No,
that's another thing about Artstar that people don't know is that you are a movie. Like you know a lot of movies.
It's just certain things that I can't like if it's a cool kind of thing. But some people think it's not cool. I tend to like hold on to. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the things that. Anywho, so back to this.
Sorry.
Anywho, people thinking I'm kind of shy and all of this shit. So I went to community college, and from community college, I transferred into art school.
Oh, okay. So community college was first. Right. Did you do that for 2 years?
No, when I was starting. Only reason I went to college. Well, first I was working in retail, but I've always been like drawing and shit.
Now the retail is that an art store?
No, this is when I was in my teens.
Okay.
I'm going back to
high school.
So, no, I wasn't even. I was out of high school working at fucking Woolworth. I was working at Woolworth.
Oh, Woolworths.
This is when I was running the pet department. The pet department.
The pet department at Woolworths. These are the stories we want. Because I understand we got to hear the bird shit story.
Oh no, the bird shit. It was just one of those things where it's like I would clean the cage out, and like let's say I took off 2 days, I come back the third day, and you go look in the cage. You got newspaper down. Like birds shit a lot. They shit a lot. So it's like sitting there having to clean the cage, but then they get like you put this glove on.
Yeah.
And the damn birds' beaks are sharpest nails.
Yeah.
So like you sitting there trying to do this, and the whole time they pecking it. I got this supposedly glove that protects my hand. But anyway, it was I found it. But I did also find it therapeutic, just because it's like
cleaning the bird shit.
Well, because it's like a task where it's like one. Let's say if you have to open a cage, you have to make sure you get in and out so the bird don't fly around. Because place like Woolworth, they would sell shit like that, but they weren't equipped for like what happens if this bird gets out. Like they didn't have any nets. It's like you guys left the cage open and hope the bird flew back to the cage because it was familiar with it. Other than that, that motherfucker flew out the door, flew in the mall, and just went wherever it went. Right off his shrinkage.
Did you ever lose birds that never came back?
No, but I did a couple of times. The bird got out, but I never lost one and never came back. Because usually, like I said, if I leave the cage open and just walk away for a while, it'll eventually come back to the cage.
Wow,
it's kind of familiar to it. But
yeah.
Huh. Yeah, so anyway, the lady, this one security guard that was there, she noticed like how I was sitting there drawing and shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like my dad. So I used to think that I was. People used to think I was introverted.
Okay.
But I'm not introverted. It's just like I said. I don't do small talk.
I still think. I understand that though, because you seem, even though I know you and I've heard you on a million podcasts, I still feel like the first time I see you on a day, like even when we meet up through the podcast, you're real quiet until we get you going. It's like
that's because I'm like you know how you let's say I'm pitching a no-hitter or it's the day before a big game or some shit.
Yeah.
And like I'm in my head, I'm game planning.
You're getting in your zone. Like, you're feeling it.
You see like these comedians or whatever, they all animated and shit.
Yeah.
But you've seen it. Sometimes you see them backstage, they calm as fuck. They go out on the stage, they blow the fuck like what happened with this dude went at?
They're a completely different person on stage and backstage.
But see, a part of my nerddom is in my head. I've always been a character.
Yeah.
So in my head, there's reality and the character. On the outside world, I'm always a character.
I feel like you have like a tough exterior built up when you're walking around, because I feel like I always actually assume, like I always kind of think, boy, is Artstar in a bad mood today? Is he upset? What's it? What's up? What's up? Like real quiet. You're like, right. And then you get to go and you're laughing and giggling.
Yes,
and it's like, oh, I thought you were mad, and you never are. You're just like,
dude, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
But it's just, men in general, we're expected to do that.
When I'm saying I'm getting there, like, this is the Artstar story. this is one of the Artstar stories.
The Sith story.
So we're building to that point. We're building to that. We're kind of building to that point, but then we're also going back because like Loki, there are different doors we have to go to get to this point or that point. But so like so what I'm about to say, like my dad is just the opposite. My dad, only child. Yeah. Only child, extremely, extremely extroverted.
Oh, really?
My dad,
big gregarious guy?
If he was special, when I say I don't want to say special because I might get canceled. My dad was one of those people who may have had to go to us. I don't want to get canceled. But let's just say my dad's the type of person, he would talk to a piece of bread. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Well, I think I get what you're saying. Because I was going to say,
he'd walk up on the street and see you.
Yeah.
And like, you let's say you start talking, you say something to him. Like, sir, what's the time?
Yeah.
He'll say, oh, yeah, it's 356. And then you might not say anything else. But the fact that y'all still next to each other, 20 minutes later, you know what he had for breakfast 2 days ago.
Okay, yeah, he's a talker. He's a yapper, as they say.
He's my dad's the type of. If we were mobsters,
and
this was back in the 20s, my dad would be called the canary.
Because he's talking so much. So
And
do
in
you
case
think
nerds
that
don't
there's
get
part?
that means he would sing like a canary. Not to say he would snitch, just saying he would sing like a canary.
Not a snitching.
Yeah.
But do you think somewhere like you grew up with your dad, seeing him interact with people on some level, you had to have made the decision like, I'm not going to do that. Like we all, well, you didn't make that. So, I mean, I have people in my life that I was like,
you know, there are people who used to think that I was a bad person.
A Sith?
Always, no. When I say I'm a scumbag type person,
I
don't think Sith's a scumbag. But because of the way my demeanor is, like how you sit there saying, like, am I in a bad mood kind of thing?
Yeah.
Would, like, let's say
I've never seen you look angry or in a bad mood, but see, you look like it, and then you're like, and then you're laughing, you know.
But see, it's like one of those things where, like, I have, like, you know, my group of friends that sometimes, let's say they did some shit. You know what I'm saying? Because we was always around each other.
Yeah.
I would automatically be guilty by association.
Yeah.
But then I was also basically the godfather. Like, they did some shit. I didn't get my hands dirty, but I told them to do the shit. And then I sat back and laughed. Like, I had this motherfucker one day straight up saying that I had this dude do something. And then I'm like, yeah, then you sit back and you're the godfather. I'm like, I ain't do nothing. But because of my demeanor, they just thought I was a scumbag.
Yeah.
But, so back to this whole thing with my dad. So basically, this chick, she saw me drawing something. And my dad, one day, I guess it came he was in a mall for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then so the next day I come to work and the security guard, she's like, oh, I met your dad yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I bet you did. You know, my dad talks to everybody.
Because he talks to everybody, yeah.
He said you like computers. I was like, oh, did he? Like, I guess she tells me her roommate went to, like, the college I went to was when I started, it was called Catonsville Community College, which ironically enough is not too far from where one of the house managers who worked with us is from.
You said it's called what community college?
Catonsville Community College.
Catonsville.
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 Yeah, it's in Catonsville, Maryland. It's like it's like outskirts of Baltimore County.
So is that that's out in crab country?
Yeah, it's in crab country.
That's all I know about Maryland. Is supposed to be crabs everywhere.
So she you know, she's sitting there like, yeah, your dad told me you like computers or whatever, and she's telling me how, like, her roommate went to Catonsville Community College for graphic design.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. So I started looking into it. And when I looked into it, I remember when I was young, like maybe when I first got out of high school, I was looking at Catonsville Community College.
Okay.
And this goes into my nerddom. Since I was 14, I have been in love with Japanese culture.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about that. You love anime, and you were talking about you know how to write Japanese words.
See, and that's almost like boils down to the whole bear thing. Yeah. But so from that, I used my mom. She kept me and my sister. Well, we used to always go to the library. So I would go to whenever we go to the library, I would get books on Japanese language. So I sat there from the time I was 14 until whenever I would always get a Japanese language book and I'd try to learn Japanese.
Wow.
I try to learn Japanese. So then I get this catalog from Catonsville Community College.
Ni hao, motherfuckers, right?
Ni hao is Chinese.
Oh, Chinese. Jeez,
Japanese would be I would have said konnichiwa.
Oh, konnichiwa. You've said that before.
Yeah, I said konnichiwa, and then there's Ohio.
What does Ohio mean?
Basically, hello. It's like Ohio gozaimasu. We'll be like,
Ohio gozaimasu. My dad used to say that all the time. Jeez, that's weird. Yeah.
So I saw it in the catalog. Oh, they got Japanese language class. I think I'm gonna go ahead. So now I'm like, I can go ahead and take Japanese language classes.
Yeah.
And then I can also, enroll as a graphic design.
Graphic designers are great.
Yeah. So I got in there and started taking a couple of classes. But mind you, I was still working.
Yeah.
And I was putting myself through college.
Yeah.
So I was working, put myself through college.
Yeah.
I had 2 jobs, going to school part-time.
Yeah.
So I would just take like maybe a couple of classes here, a couple of classes there. And I took the Japanese language class, took two semesters of that.
Yep.
Then I took like a history class, but for the most part after that, all of my classes were like art related classes.
Yeah.
And I transferred, I changed my major from graphic design to fine art because while I love computers and I love that shit, I love getting charcoal and paint on me more than I did sitting at the computer. So did all of that, ended up transferring to so I got to one point where the professor who was the head of the art department, I also was a work study student for the art department while I was in community college. So I was a work study student for the art department while I was in community college. I was working.
So what's the work study like? What is that? What did you do there?
When I first did work study, I was working I was helping a printmaking teacher with a class. But it was funny because it was the first time they had printmaking, and I was going to be like her assistant, like help her out and stuff. Yeah. But because it was the first time, she just got so excited about teaching the class that basically all I did for that time I was the work study student was create stuff in printmaking class with her. Like I literally was just sitting there doing printmaking stuff. Like I wasn't really I was almost like I was taking the class, but then I was also like helping her out. But I really was out. It was almost like a free period where I was a work study student. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So for work study, if I remember, I feel like I did that at some point. Do you get paid for it?
You got paid, yeah.
You got paid, yeah. So it's a work study. So you're like getting paid in class.
It's when the government don't give you enough money.
Yeah.
And if you don't take out a student loan, they say like, okay, well, you do work study, we'll pay you to work, and then you can use that money towards buying books and supplies if you choose to.
Yes.
Or whatever. But so I was doing all of that. Then, the professor, so the guy at the time, he said to me, he was like, well, Arthur, you ever think about transferring? Because, you pretty much taking everything you can. Like, people used to come to me and be like, dude, do you ever go home? It's almost like you sleep here. Like, I literally, I would leave work, go to, work study, or I'd leave work, go to school, and just be sitting there spending all of this time in the studio, like welding, creating something, go home, I might go to sleep. I go to sleep, get back up, go to work, boom, boom, bada bang. Anyway, so the dude says, you thinking about transferring? Because I don't know what else you can do here. So then that's when I applied to the Maryland Art Institute of Art. And I applied to the school I went to was called the Corcoran College of Art and Design. Yeah. Like a few years ago, they got folded into George Washington University. So currently now I'm a GW alumni.
Are you a GW alum now?
Because of that.
Yeah.
Because like the school I went to was in DC, like right across the street from the Ellipsis. But anyhow,
so did you have to when you say you had to, did you have to like submit artwork to get in?
Yeah, you have to sit. Yeah, so like the Maryland school I didn't get into, but then I learned later on that the dean of transfer admission was a scumbag. Okay. But he was also a misogynist scumbag. Okay. And it was like, I remember asking him, like sitting there calling him, like he sitting there said to us, like we went there and he gave us this talk about transferring in and whatever. And so he said, like, yeah, I looked at your portfolio. It's not that your work wasn't good, because your work is good. He was just like, he didn't feel like I really wanted to go there. So he told me, like, just keep working and submit more work, and then we'll try to get you in the next semester. Well, by this time, I got my acceptance letter to the school in DC, which was less money, and like Maryland Institute is a public school. Okay. So it's big. Yeah. When I went to, we had like 400 people. Okay. You know what I mean? It was a private art institution. Yeah. But anyway, so, just going through life, doing what I did at community college. I remember, so then I get to art school. Art school, I don't want to say it broke me. And there's a misconception people always think about when you go to art school. That, like, even now, like every time I see something, like recently I've seen stuff around the buildings where I'm always reading artist statements. Like, I hate when someone say that they are a self-taught artist. Yeah. I hate that word. All art, like art, you don't teach art. Yeah. Like, you can sit there and say, I'm an art teacher. but you don't teach art. Like I can sit there and show you how to do things, Joe. And so
you can show me historical styles and things,
right?
probably.
But then I can also sit there and show you like, boom, Joe, if you put this line here, this boom, boom. Like I'm showing you, but art is like it's like sports. Like I can show you how to throw a football, but that doesn't mean like here, Joe, throw this football. And you're like, let me see. Like, yeah, laces out by the bench. I may have given you set it, but when it all boils down to it, you taught yourself to throw that football.
Yeah, nobody taught Patrick Mahomes to do what he does.
Right. I just gave you the tools, or I nurtured you. Yeah. So it's like the self-taught, like, and arts, like, in order to get into art school, like, let's say, for instance, if you have no artistic talent, unless you come from money, unless they come from money, mean your parent is the donor to the school. Yeah. You're not just going to walk up and say, I'm going to go to Savannah College. I'm going to go to Savannah College of Art. Or I'm going to go to the Art Institute of Chicago and take painting up. You don't just go and you don't just walk up to these places and just go. Like you have to have that inherent artistic ability. And just once you go to art school, it's almost like, it's something like, let's say, and I don't want to say, no, it's not. I was going to say this, it's like sitting and saying, if you know how to operate on someone, as opposed to, so that goes against, that's unethical. But it's almost like sitting and saying, like,
Artstar does not advocate any operations
right. But
by the Nerd Skool.
Right. So if you play piano, but then you go to Peabody Conservatory to learn or get a degree or whatever. Yeah. It's like you're just getting a degree. You still have like that talent of playing the piano. Again, you have mentors who help. Like pretty much, you go to art school, you get mentored. You don't get taught, you get mentored. Because like that's one of the things. Like how did you grade a painting? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, I was in theater. I was focusing on acting, so I had an acting teacher. He didn't teach me how to act. I mean, he helped me. He helped me find the motivation and told me, coached me on what to think and what to, in this scene, your character wants to have sex with this person. Like I had one teacher that he made everything about sex all the time, and it worked. It made me a better actor, I guess. But yeah, he didn't.
That's why you're all about winners now.
Yeah, that's why I'm weird. But he was actually the hands of Knight Rider, like in the opening credits. Okay. He was the guy driving Knight Rider, Franklin Hines. Awesome. He's weird.
Yeah. So anyway, so like just sitting there, I remember getting misinformation when I was in high school. Like I'm left-handed. I remember having my high school art teacher tell me that I had to paint with my right hand because if I use my left hand, it'll smear my paint. And again, I this is my teacher. I was going by what he told me.
Yeah, you don't know enough.
This is supposed to be my teacher. So I remember. So
sounds like this was your first like turn towards the Sith. This teacher.
Oh yes. So then I ended up when I was in community college. I remember just taking a lot of art classes, but I kept shying away from taking painting. Yeah. And then and like I say, because I worked as a work study student, they all knew me. You know what I mean? Most of them, matter of fact, my first painting teacher and my first painting mentor and my last painting mentor, both we're friends on Facebook. But so the first one, I remember telling him oh, Art, I see you finally signed up for my painting class. I was like, yeah. I was like, but I'm left-handed. And he said to me, there's plenty of left-handed painting. And then this shit blew my mind because, my high school teacher told me, excuse me, you got to switch. And at this time, I still, to me, art was never I don't want to say it wasn't serious, but it was something that I knew I could do. I knew I could draw. I was creative. Yeah. So I didn't look at people. I didn't look at artists. I didn't you may see some name or something. I never thought nothing to look them up and research them. Yeah. There are plenty of left-handed painters. Find out Da Vinci was left-handed.
What?
Salvador Dali, left-handed. So I'm finding all these people who I've heard of.
This asshole high school teacher of yours.
I saw him years later and he came in to pick up some art supplies.
Did you pull the Anakin at the
I almost said something to him, but I was like, I ain't gonna say nothing. But I told my coworker, like, yeah, I like this motherfucker back at high school. I said it just like that. This motherfucker back at high school had me trying to paint with my right hand and shit. But anyway, so even then, I was always doing, like, whenever I made something, I always felt like I want you to think about why I did this or why I did that kind of thing. So I remember we having we had this from when I was in sculpture. I made this bridge made this bridge, and it was sitting in the front of the building. So when we had like the group critique on it, the professor was asking me questions about it.
Yeah,
and like I was short with all of my answers because I don't want to say it was my thing, but it was like just the way I approached things. I felt like I did this. I know why I did this. You tell me why I did this kind of thing. So, and I felt like as an artist, I shouldn't have to explain why I'm doing certain things.
Yeah.
Because like why I'm doing it is also like when you look at it, what you see kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then it was always like that. That was in community college. I get to art school. Art school was a whole different world. We would have like group critiques, small group critiques. But in art school, they wouldn't let me get away with that quote unquote silent treatment.
Okay.
So like I would have to like not necessarily defend my work, but if I made something, I had to be able to tell you why I did that kind of thing. So then that made me have to rethink my way of thinking.
Okay.
So bringing it on back to the whole quiet versus am I really quiet kind of thing. I go back. So once I graduated, I started applying like grad schools. So I ended up getting a recommendation from the dean of art at the art school I went to.
Okay.
Then I was also using my first painting teacher as a reference. So I'm back there showing them all of my work that I was doing in school or whatever, what I did in college. And I'm sitting there talking. And my painting teacher, so there was my painting teacher and then like my color theory teacher. They were the only ones that was in the office at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there talking, and the theory teacher, he's listening, seeing me doing all of this. Painting teacher just said that. He's like, what I'm surprised at is how much you're talking. He like, when we was here, we couldn't get you to say 2 words. Like now you just running your mouth. And I told him, like, art school, it like they didn't. And this is also where I got into the whole. This I think also kind of pushed me towards the fifth as well.
Yeah.
But it was like, I had this critical approaches to art history teaching. She used to always sit there and say, let me play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Art school, a lot of times, it made me have to sit there when I make something, not necessarily justify, but speak on why I did it.
Right.
But then also I went to school with kids who were like, from all over the world, but then some of them, they were, I don't want to say obnoxious, but they had like different educational backgrounds and things. So it's almost like sometimes you would always have to defend the stuff you did. So it made it so like now I couldn't just sit back and be like, I'm gonna just let them answer this for me, or I'm gonna sit there and see what they get from it. It's like they threatened what I created. So now I had to defend.
So they made you talk. Yeah.
Right. And I won't say they made me talk, but it's one of those things where like, okay, I gotta change my approach.
Yeah.
So that's when another one of my characters developed. That's where the Artstar moment came from.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
Uh-oh.
Did my phone play the ring?
I didn't hear any. You went away for a second.
I heard you say, uh-oh.
No, your camera went off and it became a SIF for a second.
Hold on, Joe.
You can't hear me? Hold on, I got to get a beer anyway. Hold on. Well, as you could tell, we had a little bit of technical difficulty after a couple drinks with Artstar, but we were grouped, and this happy hour ended up being about 3 hours. So we're going to leave it here for now as the Artstar happy hour part 1. Hope you enjoyed getting to know Artstar a little bit. We'll be back with part 2 very soon. Thanks for listening to Nerd Skool, everybody.
They say I can't rap about the president no more. But evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons. And people thinking this election to end racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama. But don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Now offering video visits, so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. Ortho Carolina, you improved.
Listen, people can make fun of me for my holiday movies all we want to, but I'm like, are you alive? Did I fuss at you today? Did I yell about anything? All right, then. You're welcome. You better thank Hallmark for keeping me safe.